Welcome back to D-Mod Garage. We're back on the 64 panel van. Let's go and have a look. Now, in the last episode we were playing around with the front end. I can show you guys here, and if you're new to the channel and you want to catch up, go back through the playlist. And yeah, we got the front all in. We still have to crimp this little section here, and I've got a little special tool here that we're going to use, which is this guy here. We're going to use that to, I've never used it before, it's brand new, so it apparently goes on like this and it crimps over the edge. So we're going to have a play with that later on. Now, for the people that don't know what this is, a double door panel van 64 Aussie bus, and it's going to be customised. It's not staying original. It's going to look something like that when it's finished. Similar colours, but with a lot of little mods and stuff. You know, it wants to be driven. It's not going to be one of these cars that just gets sat in the corner. So, you know, there's some tinware over there that you'll see later on. So it's going to have a special motor in it. So what we're doing today is we are just welding this little part here in, and I've got my big clamp because we have to do some plug welds around here just to get that battery tray, or it's not the battery tray, it's the other side tray. And then we have to play around with this section here that was butchered, and I think we did a little bit of that in the last video, so we're going to have to finish this off, and then after that we can start getting onto the front. So let's finish off this section and continue. Righto guys, so we have this part done. We've finished that off. We've just got to do some grinding in there, put a bit of seam sealer in it. I've already flapped the outside back, and now we're working on this back panel here. You guys would have remembered how bad this was, and I was able to save this outer lip because that was going to be a bit of an issue to try and replicate that. So there's still, I mean, look, you can see, if I get the light here, there's still a lot of holes that we've got to patch up, but that's all right. At least the majority of it's done and it's solid. We've just got to come in here now, finger grind all this back again, and then do the final pass with a welder and plug up all the little tiny weeny holes. Then we can plenish it with the hammer and dolly and get it pretty good. I mean, it's actually not too bad, really. I thought it was going to be a lot worse, but there'll be a little bit of work just in trying to get inside here and get this all nice and level. And then we also have a little patch here to do. There's a little tiny piece there that we've got to take care of, and then we can continue after that. So let's keep moving on this one, guys. So this part is done, and we're still going to have to do a little bit more work to it, but the majority of it is welded. We've got a few little tiny pinholes you can see that we've got to sort out, but at least it is straight, it's not warped. Yeah, it's looking good. A little bit more fandangling, a little bit more sanding, and we can call it good. Now what we're going to do now is move on to the front end, and we have to fold over the front nose, which is this little lip here. So that little lip here has to get folded over, so we're going to tap it around, and then we're going to use our new little tool and see how that works. So let's get the start of the flap bent over just by using the hammer, and we'll go from there. All right, now the way this tool works is you've got a little ramp, and you can adjust the ramp accordingly, and you basically put it into the slot, and you can see what I've gone up to. So I'll just put it on now. Yeah, that works good. Yeah, you can see it presses it in, and then what you do is you go back over it again, you undo those Allen key bolts there, and then you slide the wedge back across, which tightens the gap up between here and here, and then you can do one more pass to really crimp it. So let's set this up and we'll try and go all the way along in one pass. Righto guys, so you saw how good the front little pinch machine did, and it did a fantastic job. One of the next things I've done is deleted our indicators. Yes, I know it's going to make some people angry, but we are actually deleting them completely. We're not going to have indicators up here at all. We're going to put some custom ones inside the front headlight, and people are going to say why, and I'm saying because we can, and that's what we're doing. And the rear ones are going to be modified as well. We're going to go back to a 57, 58 round circle style one too. Remember, this bus is going to be custom, so there's going to be a lot of custom componentry on it too. So cool. All right, let's keep going on to the rest of it. Okay, so we are onto the rear now, and as you can see, we do have the later model circles, which I have actually trimmed off that little mounting bracket either side, and we now have these, which I've just quickly chopped out, and we're going to cut these and fill them in, and then going to this circle. Remember that we are going for this kind of a look, so just so people get an idea, it's not going to be a stock bus by any means. So let's get these guys welded in and continue from there. Okay guys, so as you can see right here, we have this one already welded in, and we're just going to go through the steps now of how I've done this onto this one over here, because you can see that hasn't been done. We have the piece that I've cut out, and you just try to cut it out as best you can to a texture line or a marker, and what we're going to do is use a magnet just to place it in position, which I'll get that now, and then we can go from there. Righto guys, so you can see here the welded is making a racket, so sorry about that. I'm just using my finger here to make sure both panels are exactly level before I put a tack in, and I've got the magnet just holding the top, so we know the top's good, and I'm just going to put a tack in the bottom here. Once that's been bonded, we can now go to the top. Let's move this around to the side here. Again, make sure, use your finger to attack up here. And then you can see here that that's not anywhere near it, so we're going to do a little bit of hammer and dolly work. You can bring the magnet down to the side here. Yeah, same deal here. So we can grab the hammer and just start giving it a tap. Keep feeling it. And then put a tack in. Same. You can feel that tie. I just push that. And get down the bottom here. So we've got a bit of a dip there, but we're level. So we're going to still put a tack and we're just going to push it from the inside. So that is good to go there. Now that didn't work, so we've got to cut that off. Sometimes they move. It's better. Wants to pull on it. Okay, that's good. Okay, level. So we've ended up going all the way around, tacking it all. Now what we're going to do, because these tacks are all high, we're going to flap them back, and then that'll give us a bit of a better idea of how level everything is, and then we can continue from there. So safety goggles, because safety always comes second and chocolate comes first. Righto guys, so after we've gone and just tacked this back, we've ground it back to make sure we're all still level. We gave it a little bit of a hammer and dolly just to de-stress those welds that have shrunken the metal all the way around. So we've just kind of taken the strain or the stress out of those welds. And now, instead of actually just going and MIG welding this up and then grinding it flat, we're going to TIG weld it instead, just so we're trying a different medium. And it's a lot slower, obviously, and you do introduce a lot more heat into the panel, so you've got to be careful not to spend too much time. But we're just going to go from our stitch to our stitch and just weld those sections, and yeah, go from there. So we'll get this started. Now you can see that little weld I've done already, just that heat affected zone, how much heat it's put into there. So that needs to be hammer and dollied to bring it back straight again. So we'll just leave that little section. We might come down a bit lower here and do a little bit down here, and we're just going to keep going around, letting the panel cool down before you continue, and go from there. So we'll come down a bit lower. It's a bit of an awkward position to be in too, unfortunately. Same thing again there. And I'm just dialing down the amperage now to just make it not so hot as well. But that's a nice little neat weld you can see there. You don't want to go too crazy. So we'll keep going around, and we're just going to stitch around and yeah, try not to introduce too much heat into the metal. So you can see even just those 4 welds that they have started to stretch the metal or shrink the metal, not stretch it. We have to stretch it back out. We'll go and do another one over here. There we go, another one in that corner. So far not too bad. What we might do now is just get the hammer and dolly on these and just give them a little bit of a tappy, because we don't want the thing to get away from us and really start to get too warped out. So easy just to grab the hammer and dolly and give it a tap from the back. Okay, it's still nice and level, which is good. And yeah, slow process. We'll keep going. I'll bring you guys back in once we've done a weld all the way around, and then I'll show you what's next. So you can see once I'd got the welds all the way around, then I've just used the flap wheel to grind it back reasonably flat, and then just using hammer and dolly from the back side and front side, just alternating, just to try and get them level. And it's getting there. What you're kind of trying to do is target these little low areas with the hammer and dolly to try and bring them up to the surface, so that when you run your flap disc over it, you end up with the metal looking the same. Now, I use a 80 grit, and you can use 40 grit as well, just on a Viber. And you can, once you do this, you can see, now that I've just run over it with the Viber, it shows you up the map of all the low spots. So if you really want to, you can sit here and just keep hammering and dolling until, you know, the metal looks like this all the way around. Now, is it really necessary to do that? I don't think so. I mean, this thing's going to get a skim coat of filler over it anyway. And we're not looking for a high-end, you know, metal finish. But you can do it. If you want to keep going and spend another hour on it, you can just target all these low spots with a hammer and dolly and have it absolutely perfect. But, you know, we ain't got no time for that around here. So that's good enough. That's pretty flat. Like I said, a very light skim coat over the top of that, and we're in the ballpark. So yeah, there you go. That's how we do the repair like that. Now, do these welds come out a little bit softer, being that it's TIG welded? Yeah, they do. MIG tends to have a harder weld, and you've got to be careful not to overwork the metal, because you will crack it. But TIG uses way more gas and way more time to be able to do this. So you can do either, really. It's not going to make a lot of difference. So anyway, they're done. Let's move on to the next thing. So we are back at the front end, and I have just done the new pedal hinge. I've just welded that in position, because the old one wasn't even there. Now, you've probably seen these cups up here and thinking, what is going on here? Well, we're having some extra gauges. We're doing, like I said, there's custom stuff going on in this thing. So the next thing we're doing is deleting all this. That's all coming out. So we're going to make that all full smooth. Again, it's not going to be for everybody, but you know, it's our bus, and that's what we're doing. We're doing custom stuff. So yeah, we're going to basically have a smooth dash with 4 gauges across the top. We've got some special gauges coming for this thing too. So stay tuned to check that out. So yeah, we're going to get inside. We're going to do some measurements and start cutting the grill and the radio blank off spot out of there. Okay. All right, time to chop out the dash. All right, we'll go and get a blank piece and get it welded in. Oh, that was a bit of fun. Okay, we've got 2 more cargo doors to do. We'll start chopping those out too. Okay, so we've got some holes. What we're going to do, you can see I've just marked out this outer skin that we're going to cut out, and then we'll just transfer that dimension to the skin that we've got and get it grafted in. Now, one thing I forgot to film the rest of the dashboard, but there you go. That's all done. Metal finished it all back, so don't really have to put any filler on that, which is good. All right, let's get on to this cargo. We might as well do this one first. We'll chop this out here and get the outer skin welded in. Now, the inner skin we have to buy. We only bought 2 because I thought we could actually use the ones that are here, these inner skins here, but apparently the sizing is not right. So you have to actually change the inner skin as well. So we only bought, I think, 2. Yeah, we've only got the 2 inner skins there, so no worries. All right, let's chop this outer skin out and keep going. So we have a dirty great big hole in the side of the bus. I've taken the side cargo door off and I've trimmed. This is pretty much what we've got left. Now this is going to go in like so. Let's try and do this one-handed, but we're going to be, yeah, basically living like that, and then we can start attacking the inside section. So I'll fire up the welder. We'll just put a couple of spot welds on this and just make sure we're all good, and then we can continue from there. Let's fire her up. Righto, so we have a tacked-in window frame on the outside. We've still got to do the inside section, but at least this part's all nice and level. There's a little bit of tomfoolery and shenanigans going on here that we'll have to probably use the stud puller just to pull it out, but that's an old injury. But at least we've got our nice level seams right around. We're going to grind these back flat, and then we're going to get the TIG and go over this all with the TIG. Just we'll get a nice neater weld and a bit softer. Let's have a bit of a look at the inside. This is the inside skin, and we're going to have to trim that back to fit as well. So that has to live in like that, somewhere like that. Anyway, we'll get that in. A lot of work putting some windows in this thing, but you know, you've got to do it.
2,000 years later.
Okay guys, so you can see here we've done a little bit more work on this panel here. Just been grinding back the welds, just trying to get this a little bit smooth, and yeah, it's coming up pretty good. Kind of grinding up along the top there. Now what we have to do is put the inner skin in. We're going to do just a bit of rust treatment in here as well, and put some epoxy on it, and then put the inner, we can then actually weld the inner skin on. So yeah, it's looking good. One thing about I'm not sure if you can see it, but the original swage line shape here is a lot rounder than the BBT. The new stuff's a bit flatter in the profile. So you can see there's a bit of a, right there, you can see the transition between the two. So we've just got to work on that area a little bit more to shape it, just so we get a nice transition from one to the other. But that is one issue with their panels, is the swage line shape is not exactly the same. So we have to just do a bit more metal work there to get that sorted. But apart from that, she's looking good. Excelente. We've still got obviously the other side to cut into, which we'll get onto that in a minute over there, and then we've got to do the cargo doors. A lot more work. All right, let's get into it. So we're onto the other side now, and I'll just show you quickly what I've done. So I've basically cut the hole out and left myself a bit of room around it, and you can see where I've got the black marker. Now when I get my frame, I can basically rest that inside and then scribe the black line you can see there all the way around, making sure that we're the same as the other side. And all I do now is, you can either just tack this in place and then run down the side of that black line with a very fine 0.8 mil cutting wheel, and you can chop that, and that gives you a good gap just to weld it in. Because I'm going to TIG weld this in, we don't want a gap. We want it to be reasonably tight. You just get a better weld if you don't have a gap at all. So what I'll do is take the window away and cut it with the grinder, but cut it on the inside of the line, which hopefully will give us the right amount. So yeah, anyway, that's sort of how I go about doing it. Just, get rough out the inside, and then copy basically what we've done on the other side. Now the top will be a bit of an issue because you can see up there the metal's been mucked around with before, so we've lost a little bit of real estate up there, so we'll probably have to MIG that up there. So anyway, let's get it done. So we've got this window completed. You can see we TIG welded this all the way around. A little bit of MIG on the top because we had a bigger gap up there, but we got that sorted. Of course, with this bus, we are going to be also running the trim along the side here, the chrome or aluminium trim, the deluxe trim you could call it. So next we've got the inners to weld in. We're going to paint the insides here to make sure that that's all going to be sealed up. Once the inners are welded on, then we are going to attack the 4 cargo doors. So we've got to do this another 4 times. Obviously, these have to be chopped out and go from there. So that is it for this one, and I will see you guys in another episode. So thanks again for the new subscribers, and we'll see you in another episode on the 64 double door panel van.